and welcome to the Raising Kellen podcast. My name is Marsh Naidoo and I blog at raisingkellen.org, where we curate resources for families experiencing disabilities. On today's episode, we are going to take a little detour from our typical programming, and we are going to be chatting with Mary Palmer together with the student leadership that's helping us organize an upcoming event. This program is titled U.S. Values and the Constitution and will be running at the McIvers Grant Public Library from September the 11th to October the 2nd. So grab that cup of coffee, put your feet up, and get ready for some awesome conversation. Hi guys, welcome back. As I said, I'm joined today by Mary Palmer, Myren, and Mickie. Mary, would you mind kicking us off by introducing yourself?
Thanks, Marsh, for having me. My name is Mary Palmer. I grew up in Dyer County, but I've been in Washington State for the last 20 years. I'm very excited to be a part of this upcoming series. All right, we have our student leaders here with us. I'm going to ask them to tell us a little bit about who they are, what school you're in, what grade you're in, your specific interests in government journalism, or whatever that made you interested in being a part of this series. Myren, you're up.
My name is Myren Hurst. I've been in Dyersburg my whole life. I'm a senior. I'm graduating this year. Some special interests that I have. I love all things art. I love to sing. I love to act. Next year, I hope to be going to UChicago and majoring in architectural history with a minor in film and photography. And something that made me really want to do this program, whenever I first heard about it, I thought it would be a cool concept. And I always have been very interested in the government, have always wanted to help out with things that are going on in the world. So I just thought it'd be a good idea for me to join and, help out in any way that I can.
All right. Mickie, how about you?
Hi. So my name is Thach, and I am a junior at Dyersburg High School. I am graduating after next year. I'm very interested in politics and law, and I hope to major in political science at Vanderbilt. Eventually, I do want to become a criminal defense lawyer. I am involved in several extracurriculars such as DECA, Malta UN, Student Council, Beta, Cheer, and I am a student reporter for my school newspaper called the Trojan Torch.
All right, Marsh. So these women sound like they definitely know what they're here to focus on and looking forward to their future as well. Ladies, let me ask you another question. So the first time that you heard about this series, and I know, Myren, you kind of already alluded to this, but I just wanted to ask again, when you heard about this series, when you were asked to be a student leader, what questions did you have, or what hit you first about that? And then answer for me, why did you say yes?
For me personally, the reason why I said yes first is because, kind of like how I said before, I've always wanted to help out in any way that I can. And I think it's a really good idea to have our community more involved in politics, and just like how our nation was created and keeping up with those foundational views. And whenever I first heard about it, I was a little skeptical, I'm not gonna lie, but I was mostly excited and I just wanted to see what would come of it. I was wondering about our involvement, how the process would go, and just all things like that. But more than anything, I was excited.
What do you think, Mickie?
I first heard about the event because a friend of mine, Claire Bernheisel, she reached out to me originally, and she asked me if I'd be interested in helping organize this kind of event. It was definitely like an event that checked all of my boxes. I mean, it piqued my interest. It was definitely an event that stood out to me. It was an idea that I haven't really seen happen in a small town like Dyersburg. Obviously, I said yes to organizing it because, like, the scope of this event, it's something that I'm really interested in. I believe that hosting an event like this could definitely help our target audience learn more about one of our most significant and foundational documents. one of which our country's principles are based on. Aside from that, I do believe this event could help expand the thinking of our audience, which would, in my opinion, lead to more diversity in opinion and expanded thinking.
All right. Myren, Mickie, let me ask you this question. What's something that the adults of today often miss about how students see U.S. history? Do y'all have a perspective that, we don't think about?
I think we mostly think, or at least kids in my generation, mostly think of history kind of as more of a book than our actual history. But I do think that we are more in touch with it since it is a book. We are constantly applying it to today's situations, to things that are going on around us and how we shape our responses and how we go about life. And I think that's something that adults miss because most adults view it as something that might have happened in the past that needs to be forgotten or moved past, to something better. But we constantly apply it in what we think and what we do. So I think that's something that most adults miss or don't quite think about.
Myren stole the words right out of my mouth. I completely agree with what she said. I think it's a common misconception that youth in today's world don't have much care for history, but I also think that the reason as to why is because there's such a uniform way of teaching history that many kids today they only think of history in one perspective and not the several perspectives in which other people experienced it, if that makes sense. I do think though that more today, I think we definitely reference history more than ever. And I think that's very important to note.
Myren and Mickie, quick question. How much of background information did you all have regarding the founding documents like the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence? How much of that did you all have prior to us organizing the series?
Well, for me, my sophomore year of high school, I took AP Gov or AP Government and Politics. So in that class, we have an amazing teacher, Mr. Stenberg, and he goes over the different branches of the government and the different bureaucracies and things like that, as well as foundational documents like the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, and most importantly, the Constitution. And so before this program, I did have a very broad understanding of the government and the foundational documents. And I think that's very important. But while I did have that education and took that route, most students our age have a very limited knowledge, I guess, of those documents. And most don't even really consider it as something that they need to know.
I also took AP Government with Mr. Stenberg, and he definitely taught me almost everything I need to know about the foundational documents as well as the history of America's government. I will say, though, I also, since I am interested in politics and honestly all things political, I did follow up some of his lessons with my own research, and I've gained a great understanding of our foundational documents, especially the Constitution.
As far as government is concerned and issues that might be related to governance, what are your peers and young people like yourself excited about?
I think right now my peers are most excited about executive orders or just things that come from the executive branch itself. I think that's what we hear about most is what's going on with the president, like everyone else, what he's doing, the bills that are coming out. And I think we know most about that. Some things that people don't really know or aren't excited about are the different branches like I said earlier, or just smaller things that are going on, how the different gears work, I guess, to make everything go together, if that makes sense. And
Yes, it does.
just how the government works as a whole instead of just one partial part.
Mickie?
I will say that the one aspect of government, I guess you could say, or politics that most people our age are like talking about, or most excited about are things that have to do with the economy. I mean, when you think of economy, automatically you think of money, and I think that's what gets people's gears grinding. Prices such as like gas prices, tax cuts, the amount of money they think they're going to make. I think that's the one thing that they're most excited about. But I do think that with politics, you have to dive a little deeper than just the economy. You also have to think about the well-being of your peers. I mean, how they may be affected by all of these policies.
As far as concerns or issues that might be relevant to you and your peers, what are some of the things that are on your radar?
I know a concerning topic that's been popping up recently is the defunding of certain programs for children. We're actually doing an issue on this in Trojan Torch, but recently PBS for Kids has been defunded and is going away. And I think a lot of us are concerned about that, partially because we grew up with the program, and it was a vital part of our learning and our development. But I also think just because it's such a hot button topic and it just shows how many things are changing all at once.
Honestly, like what she said, I definitely agree. But I think in regards to, government and politics, there's definitely going to be some diversity in beliefs and opinions. And honestly, something that concerns me is the lack of open-mindedness in today's society. I feel like there's less respect for those with different political views or morals than there ever was. I just think that it is crucial for today's government that different views exist. And I think for some beliefs to be shunned from society, I think it's honestly very upsetting because obviously different opinions are going to exist, but I think that's really what makes America, America.
Well, guys, let's flip the script. Do you all have any questions to ask myself or Mary?
I think one question that I've been wanting to ask is like, how did this program come to fruition? How did y'all think of this? What were some of the planning ideas? Stuff like that. I think I'm really curious about.
Go for it, Marsh.
Okay, I was going to say Mary or Marsh. Well, to be honest with you, it just seems like over the last year, there's been so much happening and just a whole lot of discord. For me personally, I wanted to get to know the Constitution a little bit better beyond just the regular surface reading. And Dr. Matthew Stafford is such an asset to our community. This is a topic that he has actually presented before at a very, very high level. And he was open to delivering this content to the community here in Dyersburg. It started off with that idea. However, I would like to mention that there have been several organizations within our community that have had their hands to this project. And I'm just pulling out my flyer so that I get this right. But it's Sons of the American Revolution, Daughters of the American Revolution, Dyer County Historical Society, McIvers Grant Library, where the series will be held at Dyersburg State Community, the Bus Stop, Discovery Park of America, Dyer County School Systems, and Maple Ridge. So to answer that question succinctly, Myren, a lot of organizations put their hands in to get this project off the ground. And all of it aligned because we had a person in our community with an amazing skill set that was kind and gracious enough to deliver what he knew to our community. So that's how this project sparked.
So I feel like we've had several opportunities to voice our interest in this event, but I feel like we haven't asked you guys a whole lot yet. What about today's political climate concerns you the most, and why?
Well, I actually was listening to Dr. Stafford's podcast that he did with Discovery Park with their podcast called Real Foot Forward, which is an excellent podcast. I highly recommend it. But as I was listening to that, one thing that really stood out to me and that really connected with me, and I think it's something that's been under the surface for me for a long time now, is understanding where we get our values from, what those values are. And I guess for me, with my history in ministerial work as well, community development, those values are what call us to our own humanity and to the dignity of the other person or the neighbor, whoever is around us. And so I think something that's really developed for me over the past years, and that Dr. Stafford so wonderfully spoke to, is just like, where are we getting our values from? Are we getting them from knowing people? Are we getting them from being a part of our neighbors' lives? Or are we just following some rules? So how do we develop those values? Where do we look for those values? And then how do we offer those as dignity, respect to other people? And I think through his lecture series, I'm really excited to hear more about values. Yeah.
Mickie, ask me that question one more time. I'm having a senior moment.
Oh, no, it's totally fine. I understand. I just said that I feel like we haven't asked you guys this question yet, but what about today's political, environment concerns you the most, and why?
Okay. For me, as a immigrant that was born in South Africa and then naturalized, now a U.S. citizen, what concerns me the most is, how do we maintain our democracy? How do we preserve human dignity? How do we take care of our marginalized communities and create an environment for inclusion rather than foster exclusion? And this is a conversation I'm going to also lead into a podcast that we did with Dr. Stafford on episode 149 of the Raising Killen podcast. We talked about, is America a great nation or is America a good nation? And I'm going to leave it just as that, because I want you guys to listen to that episode, because he explains it so well. So I think I think we are at a pivotal moment in U.S. history where there is some internal fight as far as our, air quotes, the American identity is concerned. And I think that we need to have a discussion, as Mary poignantly said, as to what are our values and what do we want to stand for and what do we want to represent as we move into the future.
I was going to say, I completely understand your response. I mean, growing up as obviously an Asian American with parents who immigrated from another country, it definitely affected how I grew up as well as how I viewed the world around me. So I wasn't treated with, as much kindness as my peers were, but I think having to experience the prejudice that I did kind of allowed me to grow up at, a faster rate, as well as to be more mature than those around me. And with that being said, I've grown up to love this country, and I guess a different aspect than my peers. More so in a way that I want to be able to make a significant change in how, real Americans are perceived. I think right now, protecting those who are in marginalized groups, that should be our number one priority as of now, because I think that the rights of these people are, being put at risk. but I do hope that changes soon.
We met with Dr. Stafford a couple of weeks ago and hung out with him and listened to him talk a little bit. What impression did he leave with you guys? What stood out, if you remember anything?
Mickie?
I noticed that he was definitely not as intimidating as I thought he would be. I mean, like just seeing his picture, I was automatically intimidated by him. But seeing him in person, what really stood out to me was how passionate he was for history and reading about history and things like that. I feel like nowadays we don't find that much passion in many people, but I feel like seeing him and him talking about history and his role in the military and things like that, it was very refreshing, in my opinion.
Awesome.
Myren, I'm going to ask you a quick question, and then, guys, I think we all need to get some rest. But Myren, what do you hope to take from the series?
I hope to gain like a deeper understanding of the Constitution and how it works, and especially what was going on around it. Because, like I said earlier, I think most of our peers and even me view history more of a book than something that was actually tangible to our history. So I think going through with this series and everything, I'll gain a deeper understanding of what was going on at that time, what influenced some of the key ideas that were put into the Constitution, and just kind of hoping for a better understanding of how it all came to fruition, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, ladies, we might want to round this up, and let's just do this again once the series is finished so that we can kind of do a pre and post interview and maybe disseminate some of the knowledge that we gained during this series. I want to thank you both for your time and your commitment in seeing this project through, as well as being our student leadership for the series. I'm just going to end off by thanking everyone for participating tonight and hand it over to you, Mary.
All right. Well, again, we're looking forward to the series beginning on September 11th, and it'll follow 4 Thursdays in a row where Dr. Stafford has a series that will cover. Here we go. The first evening is going to be a discussion of American values, philosophical underpinnings of the Constitution represented by the early English settlements. The second week, we'll look at the historical underpinnings of the Constitution, international trade routes that spawned European colonization. Third week, the Constitution itself, its purpose, its articles, and the provisions contained in each. And then our fourth Thursday, we're going to look at the timeline of American history from signing of the Constitution to modern day, covering major social events. So looking forward to it as well. We want to reach out to all the artists and artist communities in Dyersburg and Dyer County. We have a phenomenal art contest happening. We would love to see some compelling art from each of you. So definitely find out more information about our art contest. We'll be professionally displayed at McIvers Grant Public Library.
Well, I do want to say I do expect this event to turn out extremely well. And I'm just really excited, and I am so happy that I've been involved in this process, and I'm so lucky to have met you guys. This was an awesome opportunity and experience, and I hope to do something like this in the future.
Yes, same for me. I guess I'll follow it up. So happy to have met you guys, and thank you to Claire and Miss Bernheisel for connecting me to y'all. I'm very excited to see how it turns out, very excited to help out and put in my contribution, and I can't wait to see how it turns out.
There we go. Awesome. All done.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll work on this and get it done next week, Friday, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
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 As always, guys, remember, get to the top of your mountain. This is Marsh Naidoo signing off.